Hey, we just got finished with a live recording rehearsal and it's pretty late, but I wanted to talk you through our LED screen config so that you could take a look at it. I learned a few things. Okay, first of all, here's the wall, which is pretty cool. A couple things we can do with it. This is our lighting console and we have a layer here called PVP. So we're using PVP to run the wall. And basically if I push this fader up and down, I get brighter, or I can take it completely out. So it's kind of like a light, which is very helpful. Now I've also got an overlay. So PVP has two layers. The lower layer, layer 1, is the one that I'm using. You can see as I move the fader, it's moving the opacity of that layer to turn it on and off. And then I've got a second layer with the top layer, which is ProPresenter. Now, if you'll notice, this is not like a standard video size, and we had to do some interesting stuff to get that to work. But first of all, ProPresenter. So it's not a standard video size, and if we take a look at the ProPresenter setup, basically I'm gonna go over here to screen 2, and you can see that the size is, let's see, down there, 896 by 2048. So I was trying to figure out how can I send that ProPresenter output as a video output to PVP so that I can have my background layer as a light and the overlay with alpha so I have transparency, or my ProPresenter operator can completely cover up my background. How can I do that when it's a non-standard size? So it turns out that NDI is great for this, because NDI can, number one, send a video stream essentially with whatever shape you want. So I was able to customize it perfectly to whatever shape I wanted using custom size. And then I turned on the alpha layer, which meant that I don't need two video cables or a bunch of weird stuff. Essentially, I sent this NDI feed, and then over here I set up the input 1 to receive the NDI feed on layer 2, which means it's above everything else. All right, so that's basically how I sent ProPresenter overlaid on this. Now the question is, how did I get this to drive the wall? Well, it turns out that when you have a non-standard size and it's bigger than 1080 even on its side, I thought originally I would have a great idea and basically take a 1080 feed and flip it on its side with PVP or ProPresenter or whatever, and then in the LED wall brain I could turn it again and it'd be fine. Well, a couple things wrong with that. One, scaling wise, it's just not going to look good if I scale about 10%, especially because the LED wall is nice, but it's a 3.9 wall pixel pitch. And so it looks great from this distance, but when we get up close, you can see that there's a lot of dots. So having like pixel perfect situation instead of scaling was really going to be better. And as you can see, as I get closer, things basically kind of devolve into dots, which is fine at the distances we're at. But then you get to see some moire, and that's kind of nasty. So what I ended up doing was, out of the PVP machine, we're going to go backstage here. All right, so walking. Some amps out of the PVP machine, which is actually headless. I've got two of these Blackmagic Ultra Studio Monitor 3G. So what that means is essentially they are a pure video output, not a graphical output like an HDMI output, although it does have HDMI. This is straight up video output out in SDI. And then I'm using I use PVP to kind of take the tall image, cut it into two pieces, and as you can see here, I've got one brain doing the top half and one brain doing the bottom half, and they are both taking HDSDI as an input. And so the brain essentially is driving, one brain's driving the top, one brain's driving the bottom. In any case, that is how we did it. There's probably a better way, but I couldn't think of one. Turns out that we can't rotate a video image in the brain. It's pretty, I don't know, dumb. I mean, it can do a lot of things, but the software that drives it is pretty archaic and nasty. And so even just making it look good for video was a challenge. Anyway, that's how we did it.